Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the Brand Bite podcast. I'm very, very excited to be welcoming our guest here today, Jasz Rae Joseph. So, Jasz is a growth strategist and the founder of a boutique HubSpot consultancy that helps women led businesses simplify their marketing and scale with clarity. With over a decade of experience in digital strategy and business operations, she's worked behind the scenes at top performing agencies and now brings that expertise directly to founders who are tired of doing the most and seeing the least. She lives in the US, works with clients across the globe, and always keeps it real because there is no one size fits all path to success, which is what we talk about here on the podcast. But there is a smarter, simpler way to grow. So, Jasz, seriously, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. I want to open it up to you and have you tell us, what has your entrepreneurial journey been like? How did you get into running a business in the first place?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. So, my entrepreneurial journey actually started in a lot of ways mentally when I had a full-time role. So, I was working for an agency based in Cleveland, and it was a smaller agency. And the way that ran was very entrepreneurial. So, I was in client services. And our CEO's motto was more or less like, if your clients are happy, I'm happy. So just like do whatever you need to do to like manage your accounts. There was not a lot of oversight. There was not a lot of micromanagement, which is the way I love to work. And it's the way that I work with my team now. And so with that, that allowed me to really flex some entrepreneurial muscles before I even had my own business. But I was understanding, how do I upsell some of these clients? How do I do billing? How do I do kind of the back end management of hours and sending tasks to my team and making sure those happen and all of that kind of stuff I was handling. So then in 2021, it was mid COVID. I was just feeling super burnt out. And I was like, there has to be something better. There has to be a better way to live my life. And I don't know how much your audience knows about the marketing agency space, but we bill like lawyers for the most part. Big agencies bill like lawyers. So it's all hourly. And I caught myself, I was folding clothes one day and I finished folding my clothes after they had come out of the laundry. And I went, okay, that took 0.25 of an hour. And I was like, what? Like, I need to stop. Like, I'm a robot. Like, I cannot continue in this world of just like tracking every hour and focusing on productivity and profitability. And like, it just felt super icky to me. So at the time, I had a really strict employment contract. I was not allowed to freelance at all. I was not allowed to side hustle. And so I really had to just take the leap. So I landed one client kind of on the DL. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this. And so I called my CEO and I was like, hey, I'm leaving. He was like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm starting my own gig. And then he actually became a client, which was fun. So then I was like, okay, now I have two clients. And yeah, I just continued to grow it from there. It was a ton of networking. It was a ton of just trial and error and seeing what worked. And here we are, like 4.5 years later. So yeah.
I love that. Well, I love that the person you were working for prior became a client. Like, what a cool experience. A question that I have, because I really love to know, as you were building this, you've been doing this for a couple years now, what were some of those lessons that you learned? You said through trial and error, you learned a lot of stuff. What was some of that? Because I know a lot of our listeners are kind of in that messy middle phase right now. And so I
Mhm.
think hearing from other entrepreneurs, like what some of those maybe mistakes were that you made and learned from, or, hurdles that you had to overcome are really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So I would say the two biggest things that I had to figure out right off the bat was one, as everybody will tell you, it is in fact true, the riches are in the niches. So whenever I started my business, I was very much like, I do marketing, like you need marketing, I do marketing. Like any kind of marketing, any kind of business, like you need it, I'll do it. And I quickly realized that that is not a sustainable business model. And so I was able to figure out what kinds of clients do I really love working with? what types of work do I really love doing? And I started only marketing to those kinds of people and only marketing those services. And at first, my scarcity mindset came into play. And I was like, oh no, like if I narrow down, that means there's not going to be enough for me. But it was actually quite the opposite. So in those years, I was targeting agencies. And I figured out exactly what that pain point was for agencies, and I started talking to them, and they just started raising their hands left and right, and I became like the marketing agency for agencies, and everybody was just coming and they wanted to talk to me, and they were raising their hand and they were like, we should work together. They were referring other people to me. Like, once you have that really solid niche, you would be amazed at just how the opportunities just flow to you. So that is one big piece of the puzzle. Another one was, so like I mentioned, I came from a client services background. So I was used to really leading strategy and owning that client relationship, but having a team to support me. And I was very intentional about building my business in that way as well, which I think a lot of people don't do from the beginning. They think, oh, I'll just do everything. I will run the business, I will talk to the clients, I will do the actual work. And that is how burnout starts to happen. Like, then you're all of a sudden you're working a million hours. And then also, it makes it harder when you are ready to start scaling and onboarding a team because of your pricing structure. If you price from the beginning, that allows you that cushion to pay team members, it's so much easier to continue to scale versus if you're only used to paying yourself and then all of a sudden you want to bring on someone new, you're taking from yourself in order to make that happen. And that becomes really messy. It's not impossible. You can still do it if you're in that place where you're like, oh no. But I would say if you're thinking about starting out, that's one of the biggest things, is allow for a team, both from like a process standpoint and a pricing structure standpoint.
Ooh, I think that's really smart. And I think it's something that oftentimes does get overlooked because when you're starting a business, I think a lot of people are coming at it from, hey, I've got this skill. Let me offer you this skill or service or product, right? And so you do kind of bill it just for you. And you bring up a really good point that when you are ready to scale, if you do want to bring on team members, if you do want to do those pieces, you do have to take away from your own income, sometimes your own pay as well, in order to kind of create that buffer that you need for additional people. So really, really good point. I think it's something that's not mentioned often enough. So thank you for bringing it up. I
Yeah,
really,
definitely.
yeah. Well, something that I'm really curious about, because I know that you help other business owners kind of prepare for this. And, we even talked about prior to you coming on the show, how you help them in simplifying that middle part of business growth. I'd really love for you to tell us what that looks like, for you and your clients, and how you started to implement that for the people you now serve.
Yeah, great question. So, my bread and butter is really the sales side of marketing. So, I'm a very ROI driven marketer. I envy people who are more like the creative marketers. That's not where I'm at. I'm very like, let's talk revenue, let's talk lead generation. Like, that's the world that I live in. So, that's really what I help my clients with, is we come together and I say, what are your revenue goals for the next 12 months? Where are you trying to be as a business? And then we do some backwards math to try to figure out, okay, if you're trying to hit 250K in revenue, 500K in revenue, 11 million in revenue, like whatever that is for you, if you're trying to hit this specific revenue number, let's do backwards math to figure out how many new clients do you need to bring in. And then let's do some more backwards math to figure out, okay, how many conversations do you need to have? How much networking do we need to do? How many of the right rooms do we need to get you in to meet those people? And so those are the strategy conversations that we start having. And then we bring in the tech piece. So I work in HubSpot. HubSpot is a marketing automation platform. It's also a CRM. So you can house all of your contacts inside HubSpot. And HubSpot really allows you to systemize your outreach. So whether that's outreach to potential clients, to current clients, to referral partners, net people that you want to just stay networking with. It helps you systemize all of that so you can always stay top of mind with those people. So you can always understand what's in your pipeline, who are you having sales conversations with, nobody falls through the cracks, and you can really be systemized in that way.
I think it's so smart that you bring up the system side of it, right? Because when you are looking at especially scaling, it can get really, really overwhelming. Like there are so many things that you are juggling, even just adding on for some people one or two clients, like that increases everything you have to do on the back end. What got you interested in HubSpot in the first place? Like, why that platform over some of the others? Because as we all know as business owners, there are a million platforms out there that you could be using. So, why do you like HubSpot?
Yeah, so true. There are. So, first of all, I will say HubSpot's free CRM is actually incredibly robust. So, when I come across a solopreneur, I do a lot of speaking for like freelance groups, like very small, just starting out. I genuinely recommend the HubSpot free CRM because it is a free tool and it is very, very robust and it gets you where you need to be when you're just starting out. And then the nice thing about HubSpot is that it grows with you, right? There's massive companies that are using HubSpot at a different tier than the free CRM, but it grows with you. So often, I think we, as smaller business owners that are first starting out, solopreneurs, we onboard to these tools that are small and they're made for small businesses, which is great in theory, but then you run into stumbling blocks as you grow because those tools don't grow with you. And then all of a sudden, you're in a situation where you're offboarding from that tool and you're trying to move all of the data and onboard into a new tool, and you're not going to run into that with HubSpot. The other thing I love about HubSpot is that it is so much more than just a CRM. Like it's your CRM, it's your marketing automation, all of your sales information lives in there. You even if you have a customer service piece of your business, there's a customer service hub. You can host your website on HubSpot. So like it really can be a one-stop shop, which is so powerful to have everything in one place, to have that closed loop data to really understand who's visiting my website and what's happening on the sales side and what's happening with my current customers. And to just have all of that in one place, there's really nothing else like it.
I feel like you're selling me on HubSpot. I need to go check it out. So, so good. Now, as you're thinking about like, okay, a lot of smaller businesses will start with this, smaller tool, and then eventually you've got to sometimes transfer over, and that can be really overwhelming. What are some of those other patterns that you have maybe noticed in things that smaller businesses do that you help them kind of overcome when they come and work with you?
Yeah. So I think one of the things is admittedly just thinking small, right? I think it's so easy for us to just be thinking in the next month, in the next 3 months, right? I just have to land one more client. And we don't have the time, and often it's not our fault, right? Business owners are the busiest people I've ever met. And even when you're not working on your business, you're just constantly thinking about it, right? And so this is no judgment, this is no blame, but I think it's really hard for us to take a step back and truly think like what could this thing be in 5 years? What could this thing be in 10 years? And so that in and of itself can be a stumbling block because whenever you're able to work with somebody who forces you to take that step back and see big picture, or the flip side of that too is when you start putting yourself in the room with people who are 5, 10 years down the road from where you are right now, and you start to see what's possible, it allows you in your current day to day to start thinking in a way that is scalable, that is growth oriented, that focuses on that bigger picture.
I love that you bring up that entrepreneurs are some of the busiest people that you know, because I don't know that I have heard a more true statement. I feel like there's always stuff that we are doing, and you're so right. Like, okay, yeah, business hours are done, but my brain is still rolling through all the things of what do I need to do next? What fun thing do I want to tackle next? Did I send that email I was supposed to send? So I really love that. And I think it's so valuable to bring up this like bigger picture view of your business, because you're right, like it is really easy, especially in the day-to-day grind when you are doing a lot of it yourself, to not look as far ahead. And so what are some of the ways that you help your clients like take that step back and see things? I know it's something that I do with my branding clients even, right? Like being able to see a bigger picture of what you want your brand to become. How do you help them do this kind of on that system side in marketing?
Yeah. So it's a lot of what we chatted about. It's a lot of onboarding to the right tools and tools that are going to grow with you, which in a lot of cases means HubSpot. And it also is a lot of thinking about those numbers. So, like I mentioned earlier, thinking about revenue. And again, not just thinking about I have to land one more client or I have to pay the next cycle of bills or whatever that is, but thinking about how could this be scalable in the long term. And a lot of that is pricing structure, a lot of that is sales strategy. So, how can I start building my pipeline of sales ready leads? So, even if I don't have an opening for a client right now, how can I have a pool of people who are warmed up and who are thinking about me and who are ready to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm ready to work with you? So that when you are ready to grow and scale and onboard new clients, you're not starting from scratch and you're not searching for those people. They're already in your CRM. You've been nurturing them. They know who you are. You know who they are. And it's just a matter of opening up that door to start having a true sales conversation.
So good. So good to have those leads always in the works, right? Like, and I love that you bring up too, like even if you don't have space for them right now, right? Like on your calendar, keeping them there, having a wait list, keeping people in conversation with you. So when you are ready, or also when they are ready, right? Because leads are not always ready when you are ready. Having those
Right?
right, like having those conversations and keeping the like I'm not a huge fan of like the concept of a funnel, right? But essentially that's what this is, right? Having that funnel ready to rock and roll. Another question that I have for you is, how do you help your clients kind of strike this balance, right? Because when you're going from just doing it yourself to expanding and looking bigger picture and starting to scale and grow that team, like there's a lot of overwhelm that can come with that. And as we talked about, business owners are great at getting into the weeds and staying there. So how do you help them, find that balance, find that structure, and still enjoy their lives outside of the business?
100%. I'm so happy you asked this question because this is like my life goal is if you are running your own business and you hate your life, like go back to corporate, go back to 9 to 5. Like the whole point of doing this and like spending just like so much time and energy and passion and love on something is like it should fulfill you and it should give you the life that you want it to. So thank you for asking this question. And there's so many layers to it. I would say one piece of the puzzle that I bring my clients through, and I would encourage if you're doing it yourself or if you're working with a consultant to really focus on is look at where you started. it's so easy, a client onboards with me 3 months down the road, like we've done all of this amazing stuff together, but we're constantly on to the next, right? We're saying, well, how do we land more clients? How do we build more systems? How do we have a bigger pipeline? And that's amazing because that's what I do, right? I help you grow, I help you scale. But if we don't focus on the wins and everything that we've achieved thus far, then that's when that overwhelm sets in and you just feel like you're on that constant hamster wheel. I'm also a really big fan of working in cycles or seasons. Different clients, different people will do this different ways, but you cannot be on all the time. That's the bottom line. You have to figure out what works for you, but you cannot be on all the time. And that's why these systems are so, so, so important. And that's another reason why I'm so passionate about them, because they can be working in the background while you yourself are sitting on a beach, are taking your kids to the park, are washing your car, whatever you want to be doing with your time. Like these systems can be working in the background. They can be helping you sell, they can be helping you prospect, they can be keeping you top of mind. So then when you're on the beach or you're hiking the mountain or you're taking your kids to the park, you get a ping on your phone, oh, it's a new client and they want to work with you. Like that is the dream that I want all of my clients to be able to achieve.
And I love this point of the systems are there to work for you so that you get some of your time back. It is very easy, like we talked about, to kind of fall into this cycle and this loop. And that's not the way, like you said, like if you started this business to perhaps have more freedom, to enjoy things a little bit more. Like if you are not doing that, go back to the 9 to 5. Like it is going to be better for you, or start a new business that you like more. You don't have to be
Yeah.
stuck on the one thing, right, that you're doing. I want to talk a little bit more about these systems because I think something that is often said, right, is like, have systems, it'll make your life easier. But I don't think that we oftentimes talk about how the systems actually do that. And I think it feels very like wizard behind the curtain. So can you shed some light on the ways that some of these systems can do these things for business owners so they can get back to living their lives?
Definitely. So, the biggest key to being good at sales is staying top of mind. So we are thinking about our business 24/7. Nobody else is thinking about your business, even close to 24/7, right? And so it's so easy for us to think, well, I launched this new product, or I launched this new campaign, or I told them about the services I offer. Well, one time is not enough. Two times is not enough. In the age that we are right now, with where we're just being bombarded with marketing messaging and TikTok videos and reels and everything all the time, you need to be a part of that and you need to be staying top of mind. And so, if you can systemize that, so if you can be scheduling social posts to be going out, email marketing to be going out, even direct one-to-one emails to be going out in the background while you're not thinking about it, it just gives you peace of mind, right? It feels icky when we are constantly being the ones who are like, let me talk about myself, let me talk about myself, let me talk about myself. But if you can sit down and have a session once a month or once a quarter where you're like, what are these key pain points that I want to hit on? Let's draft some of this messaging and then let's just set it and forget it. Let's make sure that it's going out, that it's nurturing people, that I'm being educational, that I'm being engaging, I'm being informative, but I don't have to be thinking about every week I have to post or every day I have to post or whatever it is for you in your industry. So that's a really important piece of the puzzle. Another important piece of the puzzle is just that human element. So we all know that, especially when you're a small business owner, networking is so, so, so important for sales. And we are only human. You can only remember so many people's names and their dogs' names and what they're working on and when the last time you talked with them was. So when you have a CRM, that's like your Rolodex. That has all of that information housed in there for you so that when one of those people reaches out to you, you can check it and be like, okay, I talked to them 2 months ago. This is what they were working on. And you can jump right into a really meaningful, positive conversation with them. The other side of that is you can set yourself tasks and reminders to regularly reach out to those people that you want to be keeping in touch with. We all have those champions for our business who are rooting for you. They want to know what you're up to. Maybe they're even sending business your way. And so you want to keep them in the loop. You want to stay in touch with them. But again, like don't keep that all in your brain. Like your brain space needs to be used for bigger things. Let's set up the systems in the background so that's just automatically happening for you. And those meetings are just getting booked on your calendar. The outreach is happening in the background, and you can just jump in and be present in those conversations.
Yes, well, as you were talking about this and you bring up the Rolodex, right? It made me think of the story, and I cannot remember where I heard it from, or even if I read it, but it was about a salon, and the salon owner had note cards of every single client that ever came into the salon. And at the end, because I mean, we all chat at the salon, right? Like would write down what was going on. And so whenever the person was coming up for a meeting again, or if they wanted to reach out, like they had all the details of this person's life and they would bring it up. And the people are like, oh my gosh, like this person cares so much about me and they remember so much about me. And the people were far more likely to go back to this salon, right? Because people paid attention. So I love that you bring up that that's essentially what your CRM is, right? It is
I
your
love
note
it.
cards. Yeah. Like so
Yeah,
good. I truly, truly love it.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that people, whenever they hear the word automation, they get really nervous, right? And whenever you hear like systems in the background, you start to think, oh no, I'm going to lose that human touch in my business. But it's actually quite the opposite, right? This helps you be a better human and build stronger relationships and be that person that we all want to be, but it's really hard to be when you have so much in your brain and you're running a business and you're meeting a million people every week. And so my goal with automation is never to, automate everything to the point where you sound like a robot and people can tell that it's automated. It's to keep it very personal, but just make it easier for you.
Yeah, well, I think that's such a great point too. Like we oftentimes think of automation and systems as being this entity that completely removes you from the business. And again, that's like not what you're saying. What it is like use these as tools so that you can be more efficient in your business and conserve your energy to actually show up for your clients and the people that you're wanting to connect with in the way that you want to. Because when your brain is running 50 miles an hour and you're trying to keep everything in line, like you're not going to show up the way that you want to. Your brain just can't do it. We are humans. It just can't do it.
Yes,
I
exactly. We have
really,
to give ourselves grace.
yes, so much grace, so much grace. Well, another question that I had for you. So we talked a little bit about the structuring piece and striking that balance, and you touched a little bit on marketing, but I would love to touch on it a little bit more with regards to like sustainable revenue, because I think marketing oftentimes similar to the systems and the automations piece, right, can be this spooky word that people hear and they get overwhelmed and they don't want to do the marketing because marketing sounds scary. So how does marketing play a role for your clients? How do you help them with it? And how does it help with that revenue growth?
Yeah, great question. So, marketing is the first piece of the puzzle whenever we think about revenue growth. People want to jump right into sales, but marketing is what feeds your sales machine. So, whenever you have a really strong brand, really strong messaging, when people know who you are, they know what you're about, then people automatically are going to flock to you, whether they need your services, whether they know someone who needs your services, or whether they just want to be a cheerleader, a champion for you and your business. Because hopefully your brand and your messaging has some personality in it too, right? That everybody can relate to. And so marketing is that first step that allows you to have really exciting, engaging sales conversations. We all get the like spammy messages on LinkedIn all the time of people just trying to sell to you, right? They say, like, hey, we can get you 40 leads in 3 days. And I'm like, what would I even do with 40 leads in 3 days? Marketing is what stops that from happening, right? Because whenever you have a brand, you have messaging, you have personality, you're not jumping right into sales. You're easing into it and you're allowing people to get to know you. You're educating them. You're telling them why they should be working with you, why it's important, the wins you've achieved for other clients. You're kind of warming them up before you get them to that sales call. And then it makes the sales call all that much easier. When you have really strong marketing, your sales feels easy, right? People have already kind of self-selected. They know what you do, they know whether they're a fit or not. Oftentimes, they even know, like, if you have different products or different tiers of your service, they know which one is right for them. And your sales call just starts to become like, hey, I want to work with you. Okay, great, let's sign up. Like, it's not a true sales pitch anymore whenever you have strong marketing.
I really love this point that marketing is what tees up the sale, right? Like it is what is really, like you said, getting the lead warmed up, getting the prospect warmed up. They're self-selecting. There's something that I had a conversation with one of the clients of mine, and she actually came to me because she was having problems with sales. And she was like my marketing just isn't aligning. People don't understand like the price point that we're going to have. We need to adjust this thing earlier on, right? So that they are ready when the time comes and that sales call happens to actually purchase, as opposed to being kind of like shocked or confused and things like that. So I really love this conversation, Jazz, and where we have taken it. I know that we are coming up on time, so I want to respect your time and respect our listeners' time. And I want to ask you one of my favorite questions to ask everyone, which is, if you could change one thing in the entrepreneurial space, what would it be?
Yes. Oh, this is such a good question. And I think this is like a little selfish on my part, but I think that I would want to change how chronically online we as business owners have to be these days. I think we're all in the year 2025 craving a little bit of a digital detox. And as much as I think healthy boundaries are important and we should all preach that, and a lot of the systems I set up that work in the background for you allow you to have those boundaries, at the end of the day, most business owners in the year 2025 have to be chronically online. And I think that that's really hard. And I think that it's something that you have to practice a lot of self care with, you have to practice a lot of boundary setting with. And you also have to give yourself grace. I think it's really easy whenever you're chronically online to jump into the comparison game of, well, everybody else is doing so much better than me. And it's important to remember that social media is a highlight reel. And also, a lot of times, social media is a doom scroll. And so, yeah, I would say that is the thing that if I had a magic way to change it, I feel like I'm doing the best I can by setting up these systems that work in the background for you. But I wish there was just like one more step that I could take so that business owners didn't have to be as always online as we kind of do.
I feel this so hard. I feel like it's what I bring up to my therapist all the time, where I'm like, oh my God, I hate that I have to be online constantly. Like I'm going crazy. So I feel you 100%. Jazz, seriously, thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation. How can people get in contact with you if they want to continue talking with you, learning about your services? Where can they find you? How can they reach out?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This 30 minutes flew by. So thank you. This has been a fun conversation. You can check out my website, which is www.jazzrae, which is JASZRAE.com. I also am very active on LinkedIn, so connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know that you heard about me on the podcast. I would love to chat with you. And yeah, on LinkedIn, I'm Jasz Rae Joseph, JASZRAE JOSEPH. Thanks.
Perfect. And everyone, I will put that in the show notes for you so you can easily reach out. Jazz, again, thank you so much. And everyone, keep killing it.